All right. This is the poll list for March 29th, 2023. Let's see what we've got. We've got Action Comics, 1053. War rages on between Metropolis's two men of steel, Superman and Metallo. You know what? I have always really disliked Metallo as a villain for reasons that I'm not sure I can quite articulate. And I'm going to be honest, I don't find this cover very appealing. It's very creepy, which I like, and it's very well made, but the atmosphere that it's selling to me is not one that I particularly enjoy. They actually made him a good guy in this story. Well, I think I read the last issue and it seemed like they were making him a guy who is a good guy who's being forced to do bad things, sort of a situation. Like, what was the name of that guy who helped Daredevil make his suit? Yeah, he's being forced to do stuff. Yeah, one of those things, which is kind of interesting. But when I see stuff like the Necro Hive being mentioned in the solicits, I kind of tune out. So I don't want to be mean, but if Dan Jurgens is writing it, I don't want to be anywhere near it. I have never liked Jurgens. I think he's a perfectly competent writer, but I really can't think of a single story that he's ever written that I've like really loved. He's fine. He's a perfectly fine writer. He did a perfectly fine job, yeah, even a good job of writing the death of Superman, but I just don't think he's for me. It looks like Marguerite Sauvage might be involved, and that could be enough to get me to pick it up for the art alone. But right now, I think that's leaning toward a pass for me, unfortunately. Yeah, and I think I mentioned this last week. I'm just not that much of a Superman guy. But we've got a new number one coming in from Image Comics called The Ambassadors by Mark Millar and Frank Quitely. Mark Miller is a guy who I find enormously frustrating. When he's good, he's very, very good. I consider the Ultimates to be an absolutely staggering achievement in terms of superhero comics. I was completely blown away by it. And I'm also a big fan of stuff that he did, like the Enemy of the State Wolverine story. But he's also got some misses, and a lot of his creator owned work has left me pretty cold. I thought Nemesis was kind of embarrassing, for example. And there was that Jupiter's Legacy, which had some interesting ideas, but I felt like really never cohered solidly as a story. I find myself very frustrated by Miller. When he's good, he's very good, but he strikes me as very uneven. So I don't know. I think I might be willing to check this out just to see if he's like having a good day. You know what I mean? And you can't go wrong with the Frank Quietly. In fact, now that I think about it, it's Quietly. So I how can I not pull it, right? Yeah. I think Quietly alone is going to be a draw for me. I don't even care what the story's about. That said, I'm still going to find out. The most ambitious comic book of all time is finally here. That sounds like bullshit. How many pages is this? 32 pages? I don't think you're fitting the most ambitious comic book of all time into 32 pages. I mean, this isn't this isn't Chris Ware, all right? Like you need to calm down. Imagine you could gift superpowers to 6 people. In a world of 8 billion, who do you choose? Join 6 of the greatest artists in the industry for an enormous story about ordinary people from around the world explaining why it should be them. This first story features artwork by superstar Frank Quitely. Oh, that's interesting. So I guess maybe it'll be like a round robin situation where they have a different artist for each issue. I'm a little bit nervous because I tend to find Miller's takes on celebrity to be somewhat obnoxious and repetitive and tedious, but he can occasionally come up with some good superhero spins. So I don't know if I'm going to stick around, but I'm definitely willing to give this first issue a try. Yeah. So I'm thinking 6 issues, 6 artists. And I should probably check this out. I'm a digital guy, and the Frank Miller Presents stuff, as far as I know, has all been sold in print, so I actually haven't checked out any of these yet. I actually also haven't really heard anything about it. I'm sort of surprised. But let's give this a look-see. So I see right away this is going to be a pass for me because I very much do not like Dan DiDio's writing. The only thing I've read by him would be his Metal Man series, and I thought that was embarrassing. I don't know why these guys try to do that. Like, maybe he's got better work elsewhere that I haven't seen, but I always think back to that disastrous miniseries that Bill Jemas tried to write when he was having his little fight with Peter David. And whoa, boy, that was, I mean, that was one of the legendary misfires of that era. And it's weird too, because I think Gemus was actually like a really good executive. I think he did a good job of running Marvel, even though he was obviously very controversial. But yeah, as a creative, I thought he was a complete disaster. So, what is Ancient Enemies? I know they're also doing a Ronin series and one other one that I don't remember, but I haven't really had a chance to dig into any of this yet. I guess this is part of what he's spending his NFT money on. Earth becomes the final battlefield for a centuries old war between two alien races. But this final conflict becomes the unintentional breeding ground for a new generation of superpowers, each with the ability to influence the outcome of the war. Some superpowers choose sides, while others struggle to maintain their independence with the hope of saving the Earth. This series explodes with new characters and creations written by former DC publisher Dan DiDio, with design and art by the industry's newest rising star, Danio Beyruth. Sorry, Danio. Actually, wait a minute. Is it Danio or is it Danilo? Because those are not the same. Oh my god. I am consistently shocked by how many typos. And that's a pretty key typo to screw up, right? Like that is, if you want to not screw up one thing, I would say it is the names of your creators. Okay, we've got, is this a Beyonder thing? Because I cannot stand the Beyonder. And it's also Greg Land, so that's going to be a double pass. Oh, this is funny, though. Derek Landy and Greg Land. They're just pulling all the lands together. This is more like Avengers Land. Okay, yeah, it looks like it's a teaser for some future event. I am going to give this a miss unless someone grabs me by the shoulders and shakes me and tells me that it's worth my time. What else do we got? I really like this cover. This is a terrific cover. Dahlia in the Dark. Very well done. Full marks. Not familiar with this, though. A washed-up hitman, Donnie Dahlia, takes one last job transporting a package cross-country in the hopes of seeing his estranged daughter again. Little does he know, this job is going to get him caught in the middle of a war between the fairy realms that could determine the fate of humankind. Dahlia in the Dark is a fast-paced action fantasy thriller about family and hidden truths, and that is going to be a pass from me, but I will say full marks on the art. Good job, Andrea Milana. I'm just checking to see if Andrea has done anything else that I might be interested in. Doesn't look like it. Oh well. Seriously though, just terrific execution. Something about the pink really just pulls the whole thing together. It We've got more Daredevil. I have not been the biggest fan of Zdarsky's superhero material. I was blown away by Sex Criminals when I finally got around to reading it, but his Daredevil and his Batman have both struck me as being very much like remix of greatest hits stuff, which is very well executed and it's an enjoyable read, but I really feel like it's not anything that I haven't seen before, which is disappointing. It's good. It's very good, but it's just I don't know, there's something missing, I feel like, that really takes it to the next level. But the thing that has kept me reading Daredevil is the artist, and unfortunately, it looks like the artist isn't here. Marco Cicchetto is absolutely phenomenal in my book. He's definitely S tier, but he's also, I think, a little bit slow, so he can't really do every issue, which I totally respect, and I would rather have somebody taking their time and doing the work right, but it's hard for me to get too engaged with this when he isn't around. So this is Daredevil 9, the Red Fist Saga Part 9. They're very into sagas over there at Marvel lately. For over 3 years, Daredevil's life has been a living hell between the Stromwinds, the Hand, and his time incarcerated and exposed to Resid. Now, all of those dangerous forces are coming together and threatening everything Matt Murdock holds dear. Okay, well, that's a reluctant pull, but I think it's a pull. I feel like I'm invested at this point, so I want to know what happens next. I have been genuinely surprised by how much I am enjoying Dark Knights of Steel. On paper, in the solicits, I would say it sounds like an enormously obnoxious concept and the sort of thing that I would find enormously tedious. But, Tom Taylor, when he hits pretty hard. So this has been a fun story, and it's been a good merging of the DC and fantasy tropes. Although a big part of the reason why it has landed so well is the absolutely terrific art. And that's going to be a pull for me. The true enemy of the three kingdoms has been revealed, but is the battle already lost, or has the battle only just begun? The end game for season 1 begins. Oh, I like that. I wish more comics would do seasons. Let's see, what else looks interesting? We should probably check out Detective Comics. Gotham Nocturne, Act 1, Part 5, Absolute Part of 3. That is a nightmare title, in my opinion. They're getting a little bit crazy with those. I think Punisher had something similar like that. Now, I hate to say it, but I am not feeling Ram V. I think I might just not be a fan of Ram V. He's an above average writer, but I think he's just doing stuff that I don't find very appealing. I actively dislike his Venom series, I would say. Part of that is my bias in favor of street level stuff, but I feel like there's almost a formula where people take the Alan Moore Swamp Thing story and they say, okay, here's this character that you thought you knew, but he's actually got incredible supernatural abilities that make him a cosmic force in and of itself. And there's a bunch of portents and warnings and time travel stuff. And he discovers that he's actually this, key figure in events that are beyond mortal ken, and that he has to learn more about his abilities and find out how he ties into this cosmic plan. And I absolutely cannot stand that shit. As I recall, actually, Ramvi also did a run on Swamp Thing, right? Which I didn't read because I could, I assumed that's where it was going, and I didn't want to read more of that. But yeah, I don't know. He's been introducing a bunch of new stuff in Detective, which in theory I should be all for, but yeah, it just really hasn't been landing for me. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a pass. It's just not working for me. Sorry. Not my jam. All right. Indigo Children number 1, series premiere. Acclaimed creator Kurt Pierce returns to Image for a brand new ongoing series with the creative team behind the smash hit series Youth. Soon to be a show on Amazon Prime. Radiant Black meets the Department of Truth in this action-packed sci-fi mystery epic as journalist Donovan Price hunts down the extraordinarily gifted Indigo Children after their mysterious disappearance 15 years prior. Okay, I'm leaning soft no, but as always, they've got that first issue bonus modifier, so that's a cautious pull for me. Love me a first issue. Okay, is this new Jeff material? Because if it is, I am there. And they got Gurihiru, so that's excellent. Jeff the Landshark stars in his own fantastic comic, Sold. Since his very first appearance, Jeff the Landshark has flooded our hearts like an adorable tidal wave. Now, the ingenious, the extraordinary, the unbearably innocent Jeff embarks on his own adventures across the Marvel Universe. You thought it was safe doing laundry or going for a leisurely swim in the pool, but no activity can protect against Jeff's cuteness. Collecting the hit Infinity Comics series from the Marvel Unlimited app, this one-shot features a brand new cover and tail. We mean tail. Okay, well, unfortunately, I already have those, so I don't think a brand new cover and tail is going to be worth it for me, but I'll definitely read it and enjoy it, but I don't think I want to own it. If you haven't read any of the Jeff comics, though, I would strongly recommend picking this up. Let's see, Local Man. If this is the thing I think it is, I was blown away by the first issue of this. I was really impressed. Yes, it is the same thing. A rural crime noir and superhero action. Once the star recruit of the media sensation super team Third Gen, Jack Xaver has become the prime suspect in the murder of his arch enemy, the Hodag. Now Jack must clear his own name in a town that hates him, even as he's followed by a persistent security drone primed to obliterate him if he steps out of line. Each issue is a classic Image Comics flip book with a lead story drawn by Fleeks and a superhero flashback into the depths of the Image universe drawn by Seeley. Now, I absolutely loved this first issue. It seems like the sort of thing I would hate, but they really made it work. Basically, the premise is that the protagonist is a member of a young blood style team that has fallen from grace, and the art bounces between being extremely 90s and more restrained and realistic, and just seeing this character struggle with no longer being on the A team cool kids is really, really well executed. It kind of reminds me of the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run in that regard, but I am definitely giving this a pull. That one is easy. Okay, what else? I'm morbidly curious to see what's going on with Punchline. Gotham game. Game over. Return of the Clown Prince. At the moment Punchline needed him the least, the Joker has returned to interfere with her war to take over as Gotham City's Queen of Crime. In the Joker's damaged and defeated state, will he help his former partner, or will he burn her the way he's burned everyone else? The epic conclusion to the best-selling Punchline miniseries is here, and it will change the shape of Gotham's villain world forever. Okay, I am going to pull this because the Joker is in it. I am doing this under protest, and I probably wouldn't do it if I weren't doing the Joker video. But I would like to kind of keep track of what that old clown Prince of Crime is up to. Now, I think there's one last one we should check out, and that is Waller versus WildStorm #1. And the reason that I'm specifically interested in this one is because it's being written by Spencer Ackerman, who is a journalist who I think is pretty solid. I've been reading his book, Reign of Terror, and that's very solid. So let's see what this is. In the early 1980s, as the Cold War stubbornly refuses to thaw, a new battle heats up for the soul of the intelligence agency Checkmate. As the agency's superheroic public face, Jackson King, also known as the Armored Battalion, former leader of Stormwatch and the symbol of American might, has long suspected that Adeline Kane is up to dirty tricks overseas, engineering horrors that betray everything he believes about service to one's country. But King doesn't know that Kane has a clever new ally, an ambitious young woman named Amanda Waller. She has her own ideas about how metahumans can serve their country, and honor, dignity, and long lives don't factor into them. National security reporter Spencer Ackerman, comics and video game writer Evan Narcisse. Okay, that's good. I was a little bit worried because sometimes when people who haven't written comics jump into comics, the transition can be really difficult because there's a lot of conventions and traditions that make reading comics easy that somebody who isn't fairly familiar with the genre might miss. And veteran artist Eric Battle, Aquaman Cobalt, celebrate WildStorm's legacy of espionage-flavored superhero morality plays, pitting Stormwatch against the deadliest people in the DCU, including Deathstroke himself. And it's Black Label, which I'm taking to mean it is somewhat decent. Terrific cover. That is a pull from me, and I think that's going to be our last pull of the day. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have a title you'd like me to check out, leave a comment below or send me a message on Twitter @JacobMercy. Also, be sure to stop by my Twitch stream every Friday for a live read-through of the pull list. Also, remember to love yourself.